Hey everyone, I want to talk about all of the irrational beliefs that I help, all the beliefs I see when it comes to bodybuilding and the fitness industry, and why the illusions of lifting weights strictly to build your self-esteem and confidence can be a very slippery slope for not just OCD sufferers. This video, I hope it finds its way to many people. If you're watching this and you have OCD and you know a family member who's really struggling with some of their body image, but they don't particularly have OCD or an anxiety-based disorder, please show them this video. This topic is not talked about enough. And I know a few people who are professional bodybuilders or very high up in the fitness industry, and they are all extremely unhappy in many ways because of their rigid black and white demands that they hold on their bodies, on the way they eat. So I'm going to break all that down, my journey, all the stuff I see. Before I go any further, please comment right down below. You know I always like good engagement. And if you're interested in our coaching and webinar services, and we can definitely help you with these particular fears, please email us at info@ocdrecovery.com. So let's go back to the beginning. When I was a kid, I was a little rebel, to say the least. Who would have thought? I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. I was doing a lot of drugs. I was getting in trouble. I wasn't going to school. We always love to say this. I never particularly did bad in school. That's how I did really well in grad school, but I just never went to school. And I had a problem with authority because I had these really big black and white beliefs about the way the world should be or the way people should treat me. And I used to be friends with this kid named Mike. And we'd go to his house and we would just smoke bong hits and get high and all the stuff you do when you're like 17, 18, 19, 20 in that crowd. And he had come to a Halloween party one time when the movie 300 came out and he was dressed as Leonidas. And he looked incredible and all the girls were all after him. And I said, what do I have to do to look like that? And my dad was super funny. He's like, well, you got to stop smoking cigarettes. I'm like, huh. So I didn't stop smoking cigarettes, but I did get into really good shape. I was going to the gym 6 days a week. I was eating, we call it bro clean eating. I was doing, brown rice and broccoli, no seasoning, no fat, grilled chicken only. And I was shredded to the bones. I think I weighed like 145 soaking wet, but I'll never forget the story. I was at my friend's house and I had just got back from the gym. My two friends said to me, you're looking really, really lean. I said, yeah. So I had lifted up my shirt and I had veins that were connecting from all in my upper chest down to my abdomen, literally like fully down. I always say everyone's genetics are weird. You get some people with those big shoulder veins like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't have those. My arms get really vascular when I have a pump. So, which is really fun and cool to look at when you stop attaching your identity to it, which is, we're going to talk a lot about that. So I fell down the rabbit hole. I used anabolic steroids for a really long time. I would say for probably 4 years on and off. I've taken everything, injectable testosterones, all the pills, all the serious compounds. I took pro hormones for a while, SARMs, they were really big, selective androgen receptor modulators, something like that, whatever it is. And I fell into the trap of putting my entire self-worth on my looks, the way other people viewed me, and my ability to get women. That was a massive one for me. And that skewed up all my addictions with pornography and all my irrational beliefs surrounding women and relationships, which then stemmed into my ROCD and all my problems to compulsively run from everything in between in that regard. So I had to, this didn't really start getting better until I was 31. So I'm 33 now, I turned 34 this year. I was going through sensory motor recovery and I didn't want to address how bad my body dysmorphia problems were. I was very afraid to face that because it had been so deep inside of me. So I had compulsive exercising behaviors. I was always making sure I was exercising all the time, all black and white, wouldn't go out, wouldn't drink, wouldn't eat certain foods, wouldn't do anything. And I did it for the sacrifice of bodybuilding. I hear this a lot. Sacrificing for yourself only, while it's not inherently wrong, is a slippery slope. Bodybuilding and fitness, unless you're in CrossFit, where there's more of a team aspect to it, bodybuilding specifically is primarily an extremely selfish endeavor. Now, there's nothing wrong with being selfish. Feeding yourself to stay alive is an act of selfishness. So you hear a lot of people say you have to be selfless all the time. Well, then just don't eat food or drink water anymore and live under a bridge. It's not that simple. It sounds cool in theory. It sounds great to see a picture of some warrior from Taoism, like holding a samurai sword. the key to inner peace is not being selfless. That's nonsense. Everyone will be selfish. We are selfishly based creatures that want to stay alive. It's how we maintain homeostasis. It's how our bodies stay alive. Our immune system would be considered selfish because it wants to keep us alive. So it's not as simple as not being selfish. The problem, like I said, is if it's a very unbalanced approach when it's in a selfish endeavor like bodybuilding, it can really become a problem when it's not approached properly. So what are the major compulsive behaviors I see when it comes to fitness? Tracking your calories meticulously. There's never a reason really ever to track your calories. You're much better off accepting that you're going to eat balanced, you're going to, try portion control intuitively, but counting macros has a benefit at a time to teach people about portion control, but it can be a really big problem down the road. The second piece of that is compulsively tracking your exercise. Now, I have run every single exercise program ever, the big ones, literally all of them, from Westside Barbell to Renaissance Periodization to a great guy I like to follow named Matt Ogus. And that stuff works great for a lot of people. But for me and a lot of people I see, it becomes very compulsive. And it becomes a fear of losing control. Am I not deloading properly? Am I overtraining? Am I not getting enough calories in? Am I not getting enough protein in? And it all comes down to the ability to not want to look a certain way. Now, I don't want to be fat, and I don't want, personally, that's a goal of mine. I don't want to be morbidly obese, and I don't want to feel unhealthy. But I can't control that more than my ability to just eat food and exercise and do some cardio. And any more than that, what I've noticed in my life, it becomes a really, really big problem. So I really want to take a hard look at the behaviors that you're engaging in when it comes to these particular things. Now, the third book on the reading list, The Myth of Self-Esteem, was a very, very important book when it comes to breaking down the myths surrounding self-esteem. So self-esteem, aka conditional self-acceptance, is if I have a nice body, / if I'm lean, if I have a bunch of muscle, if I can get a bunch of girls or girls get a bunch of guys, whatever it may be, I'm the shit, I'm the man, I'm powerful. And I could see why people fall into that because it's very, very addicting. But when you look at the structures of people that have these beliefs, their lives are boxed in. And they've convinced themselves that that is a great way to live. I think it's a very, very, very sad way to live. Personally, coming out the other side of it, I see it for what it is. And there's no authority in fitness or bodybuilding talking about this because a lot of people miss it. I work out 5 days a week, okay? I do cardio, I hike. I go to the gym at 5 in the morning. I love training. A lot of times when I get up, I'm like, let's take my pre-workout and get to the gym. I feel a lot better. But it's difficult. It's really, really hard to do all that stuff. So it's so important to realize that if you're holding it in very strong black and white tendencies, it's going to have an upper hand on you. It doesn't mean you can't train. It doesn't mean you can't compete in bodybuilding. But if you don't come at it from a perspective of unconditional self-acceptance, if you don't look a certain way, if you don't look as lean on certain days, and you'll be bloated because we're human beings and we have no control over that. Sometimes you eat a bunch of pizza, you don't really get that bloated. Sometimes you eat a bunch of pizza and you get super bloated. So breaking down those beliefs surrounding the conditional self-acceptance, because that's what it is. If I don't look a certain way, I cannot accept myself. So remember, just to do a little recap, counting macros, meticulously tracking your workout program, always need to work out on vacations. Nothing wrong with working out on vacations, but if I need to do this, and that's a slippery slope for black and white. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video means a lot to me. This is something that really, really took over my life in many ways. If you have any questions, please comment down below. And again, if you're interested in helping, if you need help with the body image stuff, please email us at info@osteorecovery.com and we'll get back to you in a timely fashion. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.